Who are the top 10 wide receivers in 2024 redraft? I'm about to tell you, and it's going to get a little messy up in here. So buckle up, buttercups, and get ready. The Fantasy Football Show wide receiver ranking video begins right now. I'm honestly not going to waste a ton of time on the top three because this is one of those years where I hate when people have said this in the past. I still kind of hate it when people go, what pick should I have? The 5 pick? That way, all the top 5 guys are the same, so I'd rather just have who's left over. Why not just put a blindfold on, Bob, and auto draft your entire team and show up tomorrow morning at work at the office, gather around the water cooler and see what teams you guys assembled. I cannot stand that let people decide for me mentality. That's a loser mentality. If you're not first, you're last. We know that. However, this is the first time in 23 professional years. That's right. I've done this for 23 straight years professionally. I've played for much longer than that. This is the first year that I really truly feel like I don't know what wide receiver to draft, and I'd be lying to you. And an analyst is probably lying to you, or a so-called analyst, if they tell you, my number 1 wide receiver this year is my number 2 wide receiver this year is this guy, and it's always going to be that way from now until week 17. I fluctuate with the wind. I'm crossing 3 streams at the same time in the wind. Every time I look at it, Tyreek Hill gets yardage like no other in the National Football League. He's also one of the quickest wide receivers in the National Football League. He's also in an amazing offense, but all 3 of them are. He's a little older. Every year he gets older, we get a little more concerned, but I'm very, very easily ranking him number 1 a lot of the time. Then I go over to Chase's target share numbers, and I start looking at the fact that when him and Burrow were together for 10 weeks last year, you extrapolate that 10 weeks of data across the entire 17 games. This guy was getting more targets than anybody by a landslide over CeeDee Lamb. But then they start slow. Joe Burrow's been injured. Jamar Chase has been injured. There's risk there. Lamb's really the only one that doesn't have a ton of risk, at least immediate risk. There's some degrees of separation in terms of risk, like, hey, if Dak's mindset is off because he doesn't get a long-term deal, or if McCarthy not getting extended doesn't throw the offense off. Hey, they didn't get a running back like Derrick Henry, or draft one like Braylon Allen or Jalen Wright. But then they didn't really have a running back last year, did they? So Lamb has the least amount of concerns, right? If we boil it down to what are the red flags for Lamb are absolutely none. There really aren't. There's no injury risk. Anybody can get hurt, but at least initially, there's no injury risk walking in. He's getting better every single damn year. Dak is just fine as a quarterback. I worry about the dynasty value. If this was a dynasty show, we'd be sitting here going, what do we do here? Is it Marvin Harrison Jr. number 1? I can tell you right now, it would be. It would be. It would be. I'm not scared to admit that. I'm not scared to admit that at all. But this is not a dynasty ranking video. This is a redraft ranking video. And as much as I'm worried about Dak not getting this extension and Jerry living in Jerry's world too long, I'm not worried about this particular dance right here, the 2024 prom. I believe CeeDee Lamb is going to ball at the ball, the bell of the ball. Dak could get wined and dined and taken all over town next offseason and end up leaving in a chariot to go to a new destination and leave Lamb all by his lonesome and pull a Justin Jefferson on him. And then we'll be sitting here crying about the dynasty value of CeeDee Lamb, or the 2025 value of CeeDee Lamb. Not that he'll drop off the face of the earth like JJ didn't drop off the face of the earth, but do you see JJ in this conversation? He should be here, but he's not. He should be present during this convo, but he's not. Why is he not? Because he has no quarterback yet. Maybe I'm wrong on JJ McCarthy, but until I'm proven wrong, I'm not taking a gamble anywhere near this territory for JJ. My point being that in Dynasty, it's different. Lamb Chops has no risk. Lamb Chops grew a half an inch about 2 years ago in the NFL. He was already in the league. He already played, and he grew a half inch. Legend has it he went home. His mom didn't even recognize him when he snuck in the back door with the spare key. She took a whole loaf and a half of meatloaf and tried to club him over the head, but he was too tall. She couldn't even reach it. I think I can actually do this. This is truly what you call on the fly rankings. I do so much of digesting in front of you guys. We go live when news breaks. Sometimes I don't even have a chance to look at anything yet. And I think that's what, to be honest with you, what's appealing about this show is we're genuine, we're interactive. I let you guys almost climb in my mind. And as we digest it live in person, like a piece of breaking news, you get to feel that. You get to kind of absorb it. You get to see my process. And right now in front of you, I just changed everything. I changed everything right in front of you. I just talked myself into Lamb being the number one and having no ties. And now if I have the 1.1, I want to go Lamb. But I do believe everything I said about all these three holds true, in that there is going to be some shares of Hill I want at 1.1 if I'm drafting like 25 1.1 teams on Best Ball Underdog Fantasy. Promo code Smitty, link in description. They'll match your first deposit 50%. So you drop the minimum 10, they give you 5. You drop 100, they give you 50. You drop 500, they give you 250. So make sure you get on over to Underdog Fantasy promo code Smitty. Again, link in the description. But if I go on over to Underdog and I have the 1.1 in 25 straight leagues, I will mix it up. But you could probably bet your bottom dollar right now, at least, the wind's blowing this way. I'm not crossing streams anymore. I got 2 streams crossing. One stream is completely off on its own right now. And that's CD Lamb. I will take some of these guys just to build different teams from the 1.1, because you get a few different players usually down at the 24-25 versus the 23-20. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to say this: 1, 2, 2. I don't really need to make any further arguments. You've heard everything I had to say about these 3 guys. I think all of them are capable of 1,400-yard seasons, 14 plus touchdowns each. They're all capable of 100 plus reception. These are all guys that warrant the 1.1 overall in half PPR or PPR. The real debate comes at 4 overall. What I just did with this, wrestling with it live in front of you, I might do again. Because, part of me out of just pure respect wants to say, JJ's got to go here, right? But then, you look around at this crew. Let me spread everybody out a little bit so I can take a proper roll call here. Okay, everybody, line up. At attention. You look at this and you say, look, St. Brown had he's one of the lower receivers in the National Football League last year in goal line targets. When they were at the goal line, this guy got one of the lowest percentages out of the top 10, top 12 wide receivers in the National Football League. I think he gets a handful more touchdowns this year. I think he's hungry and on a mission to prove he is not just the top 5 wide receiver. He can dance in the 1 to 5. And there have been, I don't know if you remember his breakout year is at the tail end of that season. It wasn't a full year. It was the tail end of the year. And St. Brown had a better season, like 5 games in a row. I think it was 5 or 6 games in a row than anybody in the National Football League. And it was remarkable. And he was able to do it consecutive games. This is the kind of guy that has put together greatness for a string of games. And I think that he's coming into his own. This offense, this Lions team is becoming impossible to contend and look at from a defensive perspective and say, oh, we're shutting down St. Brown today. Oh, we're shutting down Laporta today. Oh, we're shutting down the run, let alone Gibbs, doing the receiving and running thing while Monty's going to grind it out between the tackles, and you put them both on the field at the same time. You don't know where the ball is going. There's just no real way to double team him. So you can double team JJ because he is the focal point of this offense. And I know that Addison and Hawkinson's injured, so that doesn't count. I know you've got Addison, you've got some other components here that could make defenses say, maybe we can't double JJ, but it's so much easier to do it, especially with the rookie QB. And then you throw in the fact that it's a rookie QB. We don't know what to expect. It could be a real bumpy road. And he's not even starting week 1. Darnold's starting, and I don't believe in Darnold. I never have. I never will. So what I'm telling myself and digesting live in front of you is that there's going to be a QB change on top of everything else. And the QB change will be to a rookie. I'm going to say I can't even do this. I can't. I'm putting him back down. I don't even know if I just talked myself out of making JJ number 5. St. Brown's number 4. This guy's an absolute monster. This guy's stats from last year, 119 receptions, 15, and 10 touchdowns. And he was limited in a lot of ways in those touchdowns that I think are explainable, and we'll see them come back this year. And the 12.7 yards per reception, he's going to amp that up. Like, this guy's going to have, let's call it a 115 to 120 reception season. We don't even need more receptions. We'll call 1,500 even. We don't even need more. We're going to give him 14 to 15 touchdowns. Oh, Smitty, you just predicted 14. So, this is a changing of the guard. You can, look, everything's uncomfortable until it isn't. So buckle up. We've just begun. We're 4 in. Okay, so we're searching for number 5. And I thought I had it pinned. I'm like, JJ's the guy. JJ's going to be the guy. This is going to be a wild ranking. I don't think this is going to be very comfortable for people. I think people are going to be a little bit uncomfortable here. JJ's in a tough spot. He's in a tough spot. I almost don't know, like, what am I going to... Do I put him here, and then who do I... Is it Puka? I know a lot of people like Puka. I know AJ Brown is definitely deserving. Let's put AJ Brown here as a placeholder. Let's put up AJ Brown's stats real quickly. And here's the thing, guys. I mean, Kellen Moore is going to change the offense a lot in a way that's going to feed AJ Brown more touchdowns. 106 receptions, 1456, and only 7 touchdowns. I think he can get 12 touchdowns. Yeah, I'm going to do it. It's bold, and it goes against some of my drafting tendencies lately. I'll tell you that right now. This is also real stuff right here. When you do something like this out in public, in the open, like an analyst should do, not, my Excel sheet. Hold on. Who's my running back 6? Hold on a second. Oh, it's AJ Brown. Hey, it's week 2. Who's your wide receiver? Oh, hold on. I don't know it off the top of my head because I have to look at my stats. I don't know. This goes against some of my draft tendencies lately. I don't tend to draft AJ Brown ahead of these other guys. But looking at the numbers, like working it out, penciling it out, 106, 14, 56, and 7, he's going to crush that. And historically, he's been one of the most efficient wide receivers in the National Football League for the last 3 or 4 years. How do I know that? Because I do this for a living. But number 2, because when you go back and look at AJ Brown's stats every year, before this year, he always has the lowest amount of receptions, and he has 1,400 yards. It's crazy. It's head scratching when you look at AJ Brown and you say to yourself, like, how in the hell does this guy have the stats that he has when he doesn't have the production that everybody else has? Look at all this time in Tennessee. Okay, so in 2019, he had 84 targets, 52 receptions, 1,000 yards, and 8 touchdowns on 52 receptions. Then 70 receptions in 2020 for 1075, 11 touchdowns on 70 balls. 2021, 63. This guy can't buy 80 receptions. 869 to 5, so it was a down year injury, whatever. And then 2022 with the Eagles, okay? 88 receptions, still way down there comparatively to his counterparts. 1496 and 11 touchdowns, 1496 on 88 receptions. He finally gets into the hundreds, 106. He has the yardage, didn't have the touchdowns. The offense was a mess. You know what this tells me? This tells me, ladies and gentlemen, that with the Kellen Moore situation, the fact that he's a proven double-digit touchdown getter, 11 and 11. We know he can do it. Those were in different situations too. It wasn't like the same quarterback, and the first one in Tennessee was not in the best of scenarios. I think he could easily have a 13, 14 touchdown season. I think 1,500 yards is not foreign to him. It's absolutely the norm if he gets the volume, and Kellen Moore's offense will probably ignite something in him that we haven't seen yet. And while I'm a little worried about his long-term value, not necessarily even 1 year, 1.5 years, 2 years, but with the knees, he's had a lot of knee surgeries. Whenever you start cutting at the meniscus and having knee surgeries, your knees don't ever get better. They usually just end up getting worse. Your arthritis kicks in sooner. There's a little concern there. That's why I like Devontae Smith in Dynasty a little bit more quietly, if you can get away with it. But I'm loving this ranking here now, and I'm going to change a little bit of how I draft, and it makes me want to stack Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown a lot more in best ball on Underdog Fantasy. Promo code Smitty. 50% matching your first deposit, link in description. So make sure you get on over to Underdog Fantasy and draft with us. We draft most midnights, but I'm feeling really good about this. It feels wild. It does feel wildly high, but I think that all this information backs it up to me. Just looking at it, just taking a big fat glance at it, absorbing it, taking it in. We need an AJ Brown animation now. I mean, he's going to go nuclear. But his ADP's high. It's like, 8, 9. So it's not like he's a moon man or a Mars man because you can't really get him at value, but he's worth every penny. Here's the problem, guys. We're at number 6, and 68 receptions is what JJ had last year. Y'all forgive me. I'm still trying to get over the pandemic that struck the family. The whole family's got it now. I'm never traveling again. I'm never getting on a plane ever again if I can account for it. I literally am telling you, I'm not just joking around. I never want to travel again. I hate traveling. I hate getting on planes. I hate airports, and I hate getting sick. It's a petri dish, as Travis said the other night on the show. I don't want to get sick anymore, and I hate traveling. No longer. If I got to go somewhere, I'm driving. Let's extrapolate this 68 receptions. Divided by 10 games is 6.8 a game times... that's crazy. 107 yards a game? Now I'm questioning myself again. 107 yards. He played 10 games at 1074. But this was without the rookie quarterback. This is also without Darnold. And I know that there was you could almost say a worse quarterback situation going on last year. But I don't know, like 107 yards a game times 17, that's 1825. I don't know. What do we do here? Excuse me, AJ Brown, we're going to need that spot back. I don't know. I don't know what to do here. I truly believe I can't see that data and just extrapolate it. I just can't. Because I don't believe in Darnold. I also don't know that I believe in the combination of JJ and Darnold. As much as I want to say, let it ride, let's extrapolate it. I'm gonna say he's earned this. I'm gonna put him here. I don't necessarily feel like it's the safest move, to be honest. I love Garrett Wilson. I think you could easily put Garrett Wilson or Puka Nacua 7. You could easily put you guys might be wondering why DK Metcalf's here. I'll explain that in a minute. But I mean, look, I kind of like this. You might think I'm crazy, but keep in mind that Jamar Chase and the way he played as a rookie and how good he was down the stretch and how he won leagues. I said trade for him. He went into a big slump. His rookie wall was a super long stretch, and I said, buy him, win leagues. Buy him, win leagues. We waited. It took a couple weeks. I had people coming to me left and right saying, Smitty, I don't know if you're right on this one. I went and bought Jamar Chase. I don't know what's going to happen. He hasn't broken through that rookie wall yet. What's happening? I'm waiting on this, Smitty. I'm waiting, and boom, he exploded, and he single-handedly won people leagues. This is something that's doable. This is him being a top 7. I think he's a top 5 potential wide receiver this year. Now, that's tough to negotiate here after everything we just talked out. I could really almost say, I truly could almost argue this. I almost want to do it. Let me put these guys back down so you know what I'm talking about, because I got a bunch of things going on here. I almost want to put MHJ 6. I do. I believe he can have 1,400 yards as a rookie. I believe he can have 14, 15 touchdowns as a rookie. I think Kyler's going to help him. He's going to help Kyler. I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to look like a 2 or 3 year veteran, not a rookie during his entire rookie season. I mean, think about every step he's taken in the offseason and during his becoming a pro time frame. Like, he's ahead of the curve. He's ahead of the curve with Fanatics. He's ahead of the curve by not doing the Combine or Pro Day and just saying, nobody even being negative about it. They're just like, yeah, he's right. Like, he knows everything. And I think he's just a step ahead of everybody. So I kind of feel like this is possible. I think it's safer to not rank it. I think hoping for it is a different thing, right? So, and this is kind of like a ranking. It's not necessarily like, hey, in a vacuum, rankings don't matter, ADPs don't matter. just tell me where you think MHJ finishes. I probably would be more apt to say 5 or 6 just to get crazy, not reckless crazy, but to get crazy on my expectation, to be bold and stand on business. But this does feel a little bit safer, knowing that, the expectation could be Puka Nacua probably right here. Garrett Wilson, the only reason Garrett Wilson's not 7 or 8 is just because, there's the risk to Aaron Rodgers and the Achilles, and we know what happens if that goes awry. We've seen it. It's Garrett Wilson at 40% capacity, which is still amazing to watch, but it doesn't deliver. This is why I'm a little worried about JJ here. This is why I could I could seriously do something along the lines of I honestly could even put Garrett Wilson here. I really could. This is how good this crew is right here. The Garrett Wilson, MHJ, Puka Nacua grouping here is phenomenal. And any one of these guys, I don't want to hear in the comments, Smitty and Nacua is so much better. Garrett Wilson, I'm struggling. You're struggling. If you're not struggling, you're biased. It's really that hard. And JJ too. Okay, it's really that hard to rank these 4 wide receivers, and there's no tangible evidence that helps one stand out like crazy over the other. You've got Achilles tendon Aaron Rodgers to worry about. He's a rookie. You have the fact that this guy had an amazing year, and we've seen players come into that next year and kind of fumble it a little bit or struggle, a little bit of a sophomore slump, if you will. And on top of that, he plays so aggressive. He's probably the most likely of these guys to get injured because he puts his body on the line. Don't tell me, anybody can get injured. He is the most likely. I can guarantee you, the most likely. Not that it will for sure happen. He could get hit by a truck. He could get hit by the golf cart walking out onto the field today. But the most likely to get injured because of the way he sacrifices, which is all heart, and you love it about him. But there's concern with every one of these guys. At the end of the day, I'm doing this. I'm not feeling like cemented in about it. I'm just telling you that right now. I want to put Garrett Wilson number 8 over Puka in a way, but because I feel like his situation is a little bit more secure now. Now, Stafford isn't always healthy himself. So you could, say that Puka and Garrett Wilson have similar risk or whatever, and so which one you like. I think this is a very, very good ranking. And I feel good about it. I could, I'm just telling you, I could jostle it around. I could put it in a blender. They're really that good of a crew. What I think I don't have wrong is the top 10 or the top 9. So the top 9 look good to me. Who's number 10? This is where this debate's going to happen. I think it's Drake London by quite a bit because I think this guy has the capability of being a top 10 wide receiver more than any of these other guys. I think Devontae Adams, he's older. Ziggy, how old is Devontae Adams?
Davante Adams is 31 years old and was born on December 24th.
So turning 32 during the season is remarkably concerning. So DK Metcalf is my dark horse top 9, top 10 wide receiver this year. I really think this could be one of the bigger steals in all of fantasy football 2024 is DK Metcalf, because we're getting him at that either like irresponsible wide receiver 1 value, like you get him late and he becomes your 1, but you could get him as your 2. And keep in mind, he's a what kind of man is he? A moon man?
The moon man, dropping loads in outer space.
His ADP is remarkably low. He can smash from that. That's a great looking moon man list.
Space Monsters.
He can smash from this ADP. He can absolutely crush it. If anybody doesn't know, the Mars man.
He's on a shuttle to Mars. Mars men.
Saturn men.
The Saturn men.
One small step.
Smitty.
One giant leap forward.
Saturn.
These guys look real obvious. I'm going to hear that a lot at the end of this season. Like, bold list.
Spaceman.
Because people's memories are foggy. This guy's going at 7, 8, 9, 10 Breece Hall, and he should go 2, 3, 4. This guy's going in the 3rd round. He should go in round 1, to be honest with you. It's 85. It's going in the 90s, 80, 85, 90, 100, depends. And he's going to be worth the top, he's going to be valued like a top 50 overall player soon. Jalen Hurts goes anywhere between, depending on best ball, it's 4.1, and mom and pop leagues and grandma leagues, it's like 3.1. It's different, but that's still a crushing ADP. Mahomes in the 5th in best ball. Don't say he's not going in the 5th. I get so tired of people coming to the comments going, that's not happening. I've never seen that. Well, then you don't play best ball. So these are, he is going at 5.1 in best ball. He is going at 4.1 in best ball. So, shut the trap. But in mom and pop leagues, it's about a round difference. So 4.1, he's still a smash. That was as of May 1, too. I'm pretty sure I can update those to June or to July. MHJ, wide receiver 9 seems high on best ball because that means he's breaching, such a high territory in drafts. He's inside the top 11, 12. But in non-best ball, you mix in more RBs, this becomes a mid-second round pick, so he's still a steal. Every single one of these guys is a steal. Gibbs going at 9, 8, 10, 11, 12. He should be in the top 5. Achane going at borderline 3.1 now. He should be going at the very top of round 2. And Bijan should be going 1, 2, or 3. He's going 6 and 7 sometimes. So the entire Saturn board is nothing but value. Some of the best values in all of fantasy football are on this board. And for some reason, people will have a very foggy memory of it. And that's fine. The real OGs know what's up. But I just wanted to go over that real quick with you. But London's going to get the nod here. He's an absolute monster. He's 6'17". He's going to be, he reminds me a lot of Mike Evans. He feels like he's going to have that Mike Evans type career. And the most important part about, I think, everything here, when we start trying to, let me get rid of some of this stuff that's all over the screen. It's just crowding up everything. I'm sorry, you can't even tell what in the hell's going on here. I'm going to put London at 10. He's got the safest QB room in the National Football League. He's got Kirk Cousins. He's got Penix Jr. He's locked in. There's no more Ritter. What he did with Ritter was actually remarkable. And he's going to explode in 2024 and become a top 5 to 10 wide receiver, not top 10 to 15 wide receiver, but you get to buy him in the 10 to 15 range. Adams is too old, and he's got no quarterback, in my opinion. He's got musical chairs at quarterback. I'm going to go ahead and say Adams, unfortunately, I'm going to take you off the board. Debo, I like a lot, but there's injury risk. There's also a lot of mouths to feed. I think he's worth bringing up and having a conversation with. It really does come down to, I know some people will say, what about neighbors? And I just don't feel it. Not with no quarterback. Quarterback is a big component here. When you start talking about being a top 10 fantasy football wide receiver, you're talking about in best ball being maybe a borderline first round pick. You can't be messing around with guys that don't have quarterbacks, or guys like Waddle who are the number 2 players on their offense in terms of catching the football. You can't have that. But if I look at underdog ADP, you got Lamb, Hill, Jamar Chase in that order. JJ, Amon-Ra, AJ Brown, Puka Nacua, Garrett Wilson, Marvin Harrison Jr., Drake London. So we essentially have the exact order as the ADP, just shuffled around differently. And then after that, it's like Olave, Ayuk, Nico, Adams, Jalen Waddle. I'm feeling like DK Metcalf is missing, and he shouldn't be. This is a guy that is going to, in my opinion, have maybe 13, 14 touchdowns, 1,400 yards. I think he could be a secret weapon, number 1 wide receiver for a team that wants to build running back, quarterback, DK Metcalf. Now, DK might fall to the 4th round in some leagues. He might fall to just the 3rd round in others. His ADP is around 26 overall on Underdog, but remember, Underdog has nothing but wide receivers consume the top 25 practically. So he does kind of maybe clear the 3rd round in some formats and not in others. It depends on your grandma league. But in that scenario, you could go quarterback in round 4. So you could go RB. Let's call it something along the lines of Bijan and Barkley, or Bijan and Achane, or Bijan and Kyron. And then you go DK, and then you go Mahomes or whatever QB does fall to round 4 if one does fall. That is my top 10 wide receivers. Take it or leave it. Like it or don't like it. This is how I feel. And tell me what your ranking is below. I'll see you all on the next show. Don't forget, I'm live Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, every single Monday through Friday. And live whenever big news breaks. And live most midnights to draft with you. Underdog Fantasy promo code Smitty. Links in the description. Again, live whenever big news breaks. See you all later.